council meeting of Monday, August the 26th to order. I believe we have roll call first, and then we'll make a
No,
motion.
go ahead and we'll vote to go
All
into
right.
closed session.
Go ahead, Mr.
So I'd make a motion that we go into closed session per state statute RSMO 610.0212.
Second?
Okay, do we need a roll call on that? I believe we do.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Swanson,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel, Councilman Elam,
Yes.
Councilman Hollander,
Yes.
Councilman Hammond,
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider, Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Okay, we are now in closed session, and we will proceed back to the meeting.
Do you? Oh, yeah. Go ahead. They are video.
All right. I want to welcome you to the regular meeting of the St. Charles County Council. I will start out today by needing a motion to go back into open session.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, we are back into open session, and we will begin the meeting tonight with an invocation by Associate Pastor Brad Harris of the St. Charles Bible Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Joe Brass. Please stand.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for your goodness to us. Lord, we thank you for the community you've given us, and I pray that we are in honor preferring one another, as your word says, as we think of the goodness and the betterness of each and every one around us. I pray as we even speak of business or conduct this time and these meetings like this, that we're thinking of what's best for everyone. I pray as we look towards the holiday weekend that we thank each and every one who just gets up and goes to work every day and labors in this community and does the job that you've given them to do. And I pray again that we just think of each and every one around us and do so in a way that would please you most. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Swanson.
Here, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel. Councilman Elam.
Here.
Councilman Hollander.
Here.
Councilman Hammond.
Here.
Councilwoman Schneider. Here. Councilman Baker.
Here.
Okay. We begin tonight's meeting with public presentation. The first one is Forensic Science Week, and I think County Executive Elman start us off here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Let me read the first proclamation here. It says, whereas forensic science is a vital public service utilizing scientific methods and expertise to investigate crimes and examine evidence, and whereas access to quality forensic analysis dramatically improves and assists with the objective investigation of criminal activity, leading to the exoneration of the innocent and prosecution of the guilty. And whereas forensic science plays a critical role in public outreach and crime prevention and is an important member of the criminal justice community, and whereas forensic scientists, forensic examiners, and crime scene investigators provide unbiased, accurate, and reliable analysis of evidence recovered across the county. These highly trained, educated, and experienced professionals provide scientific information to investigators and officers of the court. And whereas September 15, 2024 through September 21, 2024 is recognized nationally and by numerous professional organizations as National Forensic Science Week, with organizations, laboratories, and individuals across our nation celebrating this incredibly important field of work. And whereas Forensic Science Week presents an opportunity for residents of St. Charles County to recognize the efforts of forensic professionals who work tirelessly at the St. Charles County Police Department Criminalistic Laboratory, Forensics, and Cyber Divisions for their commitment to quality scientific analysis to assist in the administration of justice, and to thank each of them for their hard work and dedication. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Steve Ellman, St. Charles County Executive, on behalf of St. Charles County Government, do hereby recognize the week of September 15th, 2024 through September 21, 2024 as Forensic Science Week, and encourage all citizens to join in the expression of appreciation for the people, facilities, and technologies that make reliable forensic science possible in our community. I believe we have some members of the team here. I'm going to let the chief either say a few words or delegate that responsibility to somebody else.
I can take care of it. Members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, I can't say enough about what this group does and how they perform. Obviously, you can see the amount of personnel involved. The amount of personnel involved in this shows you how important it is to our department and what vital part of our operation it is. Between our lab folks, the crime scene investigators, and our cybercrime detectives, they do a tremendous job, and like the proclamation said, they exonerate the innocent and they prove the guilty, and they solve murders. Bottom line is they solve some serious crimes, and they do impressive work. So couldn't be more proud of this group.
Anyone else? Chief, let me
Speech.
give this to you. I'll give this to you in front of everybody.
There are a lot of you.
You got them all in there?
I'll make it brief. I know you guys can come on down if you want. I just want to address the council and the administration. I'll make it brief. I know you got a lengthy agenda in front of you this evening. It's not as easy as it looks on TV. I want to start by saying that. There's a lot of challenges in all of the units, personnel, resources, equipment. So I appreciate the county council's support of forensic services that we provide in the county. I want to thank you specifically for that, but also want to thank other departments within the county, the administration, HR, IS, finance, facilities, the list goes on and on. These are the people that help us do our job. And sometimes, like I said, it can be very challenging. Special thank you to Judge Snyder. I'll always know you as Judge Snyder, just for your support in the court and on the council. Wish you the best in your future endeavors and appreciate your service to the county.
We have such a crack team here, and they do the best job ever. So I'm really glad to see them here and glad that they're receiving some acknowledgement for what they do.
Thank you. Appreciate those kind words. Thank you all.
Now, before you leave, did you just say that it's not as easy as it is to find the guilty and innocent on TV?
No, these TV personalities
what
make
you
it
said,
look
no?
easy.
It's easier on TV?
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. That's That's a good lead into my next proclamation.
Yes, County
Okay?
Executive.
Okay, proclamation. Whereas Fox 2 reporter Elliot Davis has worked for 45 years holding public officials accountable for their handling of taxpayer money. And whereas Elliot has not only informed, but entertained by providing, quote, the thrill of the chase, end quote, that the public wants from elected officials. And whereas Elliot has used his position to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And whereas Elliot has gone after politicians without malice, without rancor, and without party distinction. And whereas Elliot has been kind-hearted to those without a voice, helping the poor get the response they can't get on their own from government. And whereas Elliot has shown himself as an example to younger reporters that theirs is a worthy calling, and without apology or timidity, they should ask tough questions and even tougher follow-up questions. And whereas the Founding Fathers would approve of Elliot's role in being a check and balance against elected officials, representing voters who don't have time to chase them down and ask questions, and whereas Elliot has never been indicted or sent to prison, which is more than can be said of many of the politicians he covered. And whereas Elliot has been an example to working people in all professions that life is work, and you can still keep working past 65 and have an impact. And whereas Elliot has been a household name, a familiar face on our TVs, part of our lives, that we will miss seeing him on Fox 2 News. And now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Steve Ellman, St. Charles County Executive, on behalf of St. Charles County Government, do hereby extend sincere gratitude and best wishes to Elliot Davis for 45 years of dedication to Fox 2 News and his work in St. Charles County and the surrounding area. Elliot, I don't know if you remember, the first time you interviewed me was like 1996, I think, and I was in the Missouri Senate, and you interviewed me because I bought some new furniture.
Yeah, I remember that.
But you didn't think I'd
And
need
look
it.
at how far we've come. I really appreciate this.
Well, I'm going to take a chance here, and I'm going to turn the mic over to you for one last time.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, go ahead.
Appreciate it. I'm hobbling today. At 72, I decided to go skydiving yesterday. It's been on my bucket list of things, and everything worked fine until I hit the ground. And so the knee is kind of bandaged here and everything. So a bit of hobbling, but I'm still in one piece. Got down safely. So, but I appreciate this. St. Charles County is an area we've covered extensively, especially during the pandemic. We started, actually, one of the first you paid for it was the farm apartments. And that was coming to the aid of homeowners against the Housing Authority and against HUD for allowing its complex to go downhill, thereby causing the housing values of the surrounding homes to plummet. And they called us for help. We actually took that story up to the President of the United States, Clinton, then, at that time, and the government ended up spending like $7 million to redo the farm, kick out all the troublemakers, and that caused the values to go back up. But we had a lot of help from the legislative leaders in St. Charles County, who were all a part of that story because they had been trying to get something done from HUD, and HUD was doing nothing. I think we'd call you. We'd call others, the representatives, all of the St. Charles officials got involved in that. But that was one of the first big you paid for's I've done. Steve and I talked many times during the COVID crisis in 2020, and I almost knew what he was going to say. We talked so many times, I could kind of guess what he was going to say. And one of my questions was, well, St. Louis City and County are shutting down all the businesses. Steve, I know you're going to follow suit in the spirit of togetherness. And so he'd get that look like, he's not somebody tells you a softball. You say, but it was always good. One thing I'll say about Steve and the councils is that no matter whether it was a good story or a bad one, Steve would always step forward and talk. And anybody we wanted to talk to on the council would always step forward and talk. We don't have any video of anyone from the council or of Steve running down the hallway trying to get away. So I just want to say thank you. It's been my honor to cover you guys.
Thank you.
That's because we don't have a long hallway out here that we can run down. I want to thank you because of the attention that you brought to local government. I mean, our stations do a good job of covering the national and even the state sometimes, but they don't always cover the local stuff. And you really not only brought that to people's attention, but did it in an entertaining way. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
Here you go.
Steve, do you mind if I ask Elliot a question?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be that would be a first. Here, the judge wants to ask you a
I
question.
just want to ask him how good his memory is.
Okay.
We're going to hold up the
Judge,
Yeah,
Judge
well, no,
Snyder, Judge Snyder.
Go ahead.
I
Judge?
just want to remember, if you remember this interaction between you and our previous county executive, Joe Ortworth.
Of course.
And you were having a conversation with him out in the hall, and it was getting a little heated. And at one point, Mr. Ortworth turned to you and said, "Elliot, do you love Jesus?" You remember that?
Oh, we reran it in our, he was on our
Your
first top
highlights.
10.
Was it in the top 10?
He was in our first top 10
Oh,
that
I
we ran
didn't see
20
that.
years ago.
I was there
And
when
we
it
just
happened.
reran it. We did a week of Elliot, was my retirement week, and we did top 10, and Ortworth was like number 2.
Yeah.
That's one of the stories we will never forget.
And how did you answer him when he asked you if you love Jesus?
Well, I said, being a Christian, it was easy to answer. I said, I love Jesus, and so that's not a question. That's nothing that embarrassed me, nothing that caught me off guard, and I could answer that with pride. I said, what about, I said, I love Jesus, but what about the Juvenile Justice Center? And he just said,
Yes.
Jesus has plans for you, Elliot. But he said it like lightning was going to come down and strike me or something.
We will miss you.
Thank you. We're going to hold it. Yeah.
Picture here, can we get the front? Sure.
Did he become a pastor?
Yeah, he's some kind of minister or something.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thank
We
you.
will miss you.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Yeah, you paid for it.
Enjoy your retirement.
Will do. All right, take your close, everybody. Tim, you're lurking in the shadow.
I'm trying.
Got it. Thank you all. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, our next piece of business this evening is a public hearing on the 2025 to 2029 capital program and strategic plan. So, do we have a, Mr. Snark?
Good evening, Council. I'll have a brief overview for you here. So each year, the charter requires that a capital plan be provided and adopted by the council in the form of a resolution, and that'll be coming a little bit later for you. The capital plan is a 5-year look at what our capital needs are. And the most relevant portion of the plan really is the coming year, 2025, and then there'll be some other the other 4 years after that. So it's so they are doing that for me, I guess. The capital plan, though, wanted to mention that the capital plan does not include administrative kind of costs, maintenance contracts, and our bond payments. We pay those first out of the capital projects fund, and then whatever is left starts going toward the capital needs of the county. And I'm going to see if this will work now. Next, give me the next slide. There we go. So in the capital projects fund, we have $16.3 million that's generated by tax revenue, the quarter-cent sales tax that was recently reapproved by the county voters. And in 2025, we estimate that number to be $16.3 million. We have about $6.3 million of bond payments and administrative costs that I just mentioned. So about $10 million of this $16.3 million is what is going to be available for us in the capital plan that comes from the capital projects fund. But when you look at the capital plan, you'll see that total expenditures for 2025 are $105,289,527. So where's the rest of the money coming from? And here's where the money's coming from. It's coming from the capital improvement sales tax that we just talked about, but then the parks use tax for the parks functions, that's all, that helps fund a lot of the capital projects there. Road and bridge property tax, transportation sales tax, the 911 emergency communications tax, and then we have other special funds, including ARPA, and then, of course, grants that can be used for capital purposes. So that's where that $105 million comes from. It's not all on the back of the capital projects fund, thankfully. So I wanted to conclude tonight with really just a listing of what the major items are in the capital plan. When you look across the years here, the annual provision that we have in 2025 for general fleet vehicles, police cars, community development, the other service departments of county government, $1.3 million. $2.7 million for a police crime lab expansion in 2026. $25.2 million through 2027 for the jail renovation. We have a provision in 27 and 28 for a courts annex, because as you're probably well aware, we are flat out of space in the courthouse, and our population's growing, and we're going to continue to get judges, and we have to have some place for them to go. So there's a provisional allotment in here to begin to address that problem, but not until 27, 28. As the county grows, we have the need for a second pet adoption center, and that's the $8 million that you see in 2029. Parkland acquisition, there's always a provisional in our budget for that, because we never know when an opportunity is going to come up. And between 2025 and 2028, we have $8 million provided. The Parks is a busy place, as you well know by your agendas each meeting, and we have $39.3 million of park development that is scheduled in 2025. A lot of that is placeholder. I doubt seriously they'll spend that in 1 year, but we have it as placeholder because projects have to be identified, bid, and then, of course, there'll be a sequence after that. But the Parks Fund is allotting $39.3 million in 2025, listing of about 8 different projects around the county. Every year, we have the transportation sales tax, and in 2025, that's $40.1 million that's being provided for. And last but not least, in the Road and Bridge Fund, they've got about $2.7 million allocated for the special purpose vehicles they have and dump trucks, things like that, along with some building improvements in 2025. So those are the big numbers. A lot of the capital plan is something that is very routine. It happens every year. And so that's the kind of the nuts and bolts of the plan, but I wanted to hit the highlights here for you so that you could see what some of the major items were in the coming years and part of that plan. So that's before you tonight for approval by resolution. I'll answer any questions you have.
Mr. Baker?
Yeah, Bob, thank you. I'm just curious, why in our parks use tax, 2025, we have $49 million, and the rest of the years it's drastically less? Why is that?
I mentioned that a little bit. They've kind of front-loaded the dollars in 2025 , and I doubt very seriously. We've got projects of $39.3 million. We have plus an $8 million land provisional in there as well. So I doubt seriously they're going to spend $40+ million in the coming year. But all these projects are on the board and identified as projects that are going to happen. Depending on the resources of the Parks Department and the time they have to get to these projects, they'll roll out over the next coming years. But they're essentially all being identified in 2025.
Okay. And just from my own curiosity, there's Wentzville roof replacement. What building do we own in Wentzville?
That's the Emergency Dispatch Center, the old Emergency Dispatch Center under the water tower on Wentzville Parkway.
Okay.
We still own that building, and it's been rented for some period of time, but the roof needs to be replaced there.
Okay.
That's a backup 911 facility.
I just was curious. I didn't know.
We have backup equipment in that building, and it needs a roof.
And then just a comment, the $8 million for the pet adoption center, does that also include land cost to try to buy something?
It's kind of a placeholder right now. It's just to have it on the board.
We'll
know more. It would depend totally on where it is, how large it is. You know that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the equestrian center wouldn't be a good place for that, just to help cut down on money. That's just a comment.
Sure.
So, and that's kind of a centrally located for the west portion. And final question is $3 million for a runway. And this is, again, for my own curiosity, what really benefit do we get out of the airport?
Well, I believe that's going to be grant funded. John, that was identified as being done only if we secure the grant funding from MoDOT to have that done.
Huh.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's an 80%, 20, it's an
80-20.
90-10.
Oh, okay.
That's the money Lane Lidkamar helped us get in Congress?
No, that's a different grant.
So we'd have a 10% cost in that total project.
So overall, it's going to be like $30 million in runway?
No. This is the cost of the $3 million is the cost of the runway, but
we hope to get the grant.
The funding source that should be identified there should be from MoDOT grant.
Okay.
And not from the Parks Department.
And I talked to our great Parks Director, and he answered a lot of my questions, so, or called to save everyone time, so thanks, Brian.
Through a state block grant through MoDOT, so we get
Okay.
that along that.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Bob.
Anyone else? Yes.
I had one question. I sent an inquiry a couple weeks back on page 17 or page, I think it's 35 in the packet, under corrections body cameras. There was a listing for it twice. It's still there in our packet.
Well, I don't know. We can note that.
Okay.
The plan itself has been drafted and published. This
It
is-
just looks like it's a clerical error. When I talked to Claire about this, we
Right,
sent it up there.
it probably is, it's probably a duplication, and it would only be used once, so we're not gonna double
Understand.
fund something. But this is only the plan. A lot of what you see in this plan will come back to you later this year for the budget for 2025.
I just
So-
want to make sure that once it's the official document, that second item's taken
Okay.
out. And it's a small
Councilman,
number.
they sent us all around a notice that you had found that duplicate item and that it's being removed.
Okay.
But as Bob just said, this is the plan they'd already printed. And so it's removed in kind of the official copy that'll feed the budget. I apologize, it's
No,
not.
that's fine.
out of the-
Errors like that happen. And it's not a large amount. It was just, I just want to make sure it was sent up through the channels.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, do we have any public speakers on this particular capital program?
Arnie Dinoff.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, County Public Advocate. And I have to start out by saying last Wednesday in tonight's meeting, last Wednesday was the County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The temperature was at extreme highs, and I take that back. It was also the Planning and Zoning and also the Road Board meeting last Wednesday. And tonight, again, it's very humid and very hot in this room. I'm sweating. I don't know about you. But last year and the year before, you spent millions of dollars on a new air conditioning system. The state of the art, I believe it was a train system, and it's in the rear of this building. It's took a long time, created a lot of havoc, a lot of moving of people and items, and yet we still haven't fixed the problem. And we spent millions of dollars of our capital sales tax improvements, and yet it's hot and I'm sweating, and I'm sure you are also. So I would like to see if we can address this issue, since we spent millions of dollars on a new air conditioning, a new chiller system, and let's draw a line in the sand and keep our contractors accountable. And let's make sure that the warranty is adhered to. This is ridiculous. You spent $245,000 in a new mural, and guess what? In years from now, it's going to be ruined because of humidity and temperature control. So why do we keep wasting bad money after bad money if we're not fixing the problem? The capital improvement and strategic plan from 2025 to 2029, I question some spending, morals, ethics, and fiduciary responsibility of you, the elected officials, our county council. You have your consultant, Bob Schnarr, who you're paying an extra salary to, in addition to our acting director of finance. And you're spending $385 million in projects through 2029. But yet we don't know the consultants' charges and fees. $200 million is going to go to roads and bridges, and $105,290,000 in the 2025 capital improvement projects for this year. $2.5 million is upgrades for the family arena, and I really have some questions again. You just spent $25–30 million on the family arena this year and even floated a bond. What is the return on investment to taxpayers and to the county? You want to buy stage parts, microphones, an audio system, and then in these council chambers, you purport to want to spend $20,000 to $40,000 on the audio, mixers, and microphones, and I don't see that they're causing a problem. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. I haven't heard zero discussion in previous years, for at least the last 10 years of this council, about the capital improvement project. You listen to Joanne Lycum and you listen to Steve Ellman, whatever they tell you that they want, you just give them a green light with a rubber stamp and say it's okay, whatever you want. It's time to think before you spend. You all make $27,000, $28,000 annual salary, plus health benefits, plus pension, plus expense account, plus mileage and a cell phone. And so it's time that you had some debate and ask the important questions, and that you cut out all fraud and all thrills that we don't need. You need to start buying inside of St. Charles County. And what I mean by that, I've been professing that for a decade. You need to invest in our people and our small businesses and people who drive the St. Charles County economy. Over 95% of all bids and contracts that come before the council go out of the county, across the state, or to other states across the United States, and you're not helping the businesses and the people who are our neighbors and our residents of St. Charles County. We don't want to increase the economies of Jefferson City, Columbia, Hannibal, and St. Louis City or St. Louis County. We want to impact and have an economy right here in St. Charles County. So I asked the steps on the county grounds here that they finally this year come to its full fruition, and you replace all the aging steps that are causing a great liability across the county. I don't know how many people that I've seen come to our county executive office building and trip on the steps north, south, east, and west around this magnificent building that we have. Now, you started that last month by putting out one contract, but from what I understand, it's only about 15 or 20% of the steps that need to be replaced. I've been professing this for the last 7 years on deaf ears, and finally, John Grefshew and the facilities director have finally started with about 15 to 20% of those replacements. We have a monument in front of our building, and I've talked to my councilman, Mr. Swanson, about that monument. We don't even know what wars it covers, recognizing residents who have sacrificed for our freedom who are on that monument. A lot of those names are not recognizable. And I even talked to Mr. Ellman about it, but yet he spent a ton of money moving the monument last year, but he didn't want to renovate it so we could see who our fellow residents that sacrificed their life for our freedom are. And I've asked Mr. Swanson, I still haven't come to a resolution of how we're going to approach that and when we're going to spend the money. You spend the money on $245,000 on a mural right outside this room in the rotunda, but you don't want to renovate and recognize citizens who sacrificed their life on that concrete monument in front of our building that has no recognition, no plaque, and no citing of what wars that they served and how they protected us as St. Charles County residents in various military capacities. We owe it to the veterans. We owe them a great gratitude, and it's a slap in their face, in my opinion, that we are allowing that to deteriorate and those names to disappear. There's one wall, one side or two sides that you can't even recognize who the names are. And Mr. Swanson and I looked at that about 3 months ago, but I still haven't heard from Mr. Swanson or the administration on how they're going to address that. Our courts are at capacity. And I know a lot of you probably haven't been over to the courts and probably haven't gone there. I'm a public advocate in the courts, and I routinely are in the courtrooms to ensure ethics, equality, and to make sure that our citizens are being treated fairly by judges and court staff. They are totally out of room at the circuit courts. And they're in tight quarters. They're now going to move deputy circuit clerks down to the basement, a dungy, mildy, humid, filled, ugly basement that has no windows. There needs to be other rational reasons and plans that the county can come up with. I haven't heard any discussion amongst the county, except from a proposal from Joanne Lycum and Steve Ellman to buy the age-old gold dome building owned by St. Charles City Hall, which they'll be vacating in about 2 years. But they want to sell that building for $25 million to our county. It's a really bad investment. You know why? Because the city of St. Charles did a study of the needs and the renovations that are needed in that building, and it's going to be $27 to $35 million to renovate that building, plus the $25 million. So it's going to be way over $55 million to purchase that building and renovate it so it's fit for occupancy. It's a bad move. You have a building that's been idling by that is rotting each and every year, that was used by facilities, management employees at one time, and a lot of different variations of county employees. You only use it for a parking lot to park pickup trucks. And that's just north of our circuit court building. Why don't we renovate that historic building instead of allowing it to go in disrepair, so where you're going to say it's going to be too costly and we're going to have to bulldoze that historic building that I believe is on the historic registry. When are we going to have that discussion in these chambers? And when is the administration going to have a really concrete discussion about that building? The courts need to comply with our county code procurement bidding. I go to the court on bank meetings of all the judges, and they seem that they have a special rule that they could bypass our bidding and procurement policy, and they could do whatever they want, buy whatever technology and computers with a fee paid by everybody who files a case in our circuit court system. I stopped that a few months ago because they wanted to put a no-bid contract to buy courtroom technology. And I brought it to the attention of the county, and thank heavens that was stopped. You know why? Because it was going to be $45,000 of wasteful taxpayer money that we bidded out as a county, and we saved that for taxpayers. When it comes to vehicles, I'm asking that we keep our police vehicles for a minimum of 8 to 10 years. As you all know, we have a take-home residential police car. They're not being run 24/7. They're being run 10 hours a shift for 4 days. They're immaculately kept by that individual employee, and they have all the inspections, oil changes, brake pads, everything is done tip-top shape by our fleet management department. And so there's no reason why we're early getting rid of these vehicles that have low mileage and that are serving the county police, our county highway department, our assessors, our county sheriff's department in good fashion and fit. Jail improvements. I told you it was hogwash that you want to spend up to $150 million in renovations of our aging and dinosaur city jail in downtown St. Charles. I told you that you should build the jail out on land that the county already owns in our law enforcement center in O'Fallon off of Tom Ginnever Boulevard. But oh no, you got a handout of welfare from the federal government, and you're spending this year over $34 million in renovations. There are population overcrowding concerns, and our judges are beginning to release some hardened criminals onto the streets of St. Charles County, which is a tragedy, and it's a slap in the face of the victims who signed a complaint and the police officers who are prosecuting, along with our prosecuting attorney's office. We need to face head on and talk about jail expansion because our population of prisoners is teetering the maximum capacity allowed by state law. And we need to do something about it, like right now. Street sweepers. Our neighborhoods deserve a clean roadway. Our property values deserve to be intact, and I ask that we institute a street sweeping program in every county highway district in unincorporated St. Charles County. Our assessor spends over $127,000 with J.D. Powers for National Automobile Dealers Association software. It's a huge waste of money. The difference of assessed valuations of cars doesn't change from year to year, and it's a waste of taxpayer money. We need to find out other ways to assess our vehicles and personal property without spending $127,000 of taxpayer money. It's a waste. The police training center and those improvements. There's a huge battle that's empowering here in St. Charles County. The city of O'Fallon wants to build over a $45 million to a $50 million police training and law enforcement center complex. They've already entered into contracts with the city of St. Charles to build a $5 million contract, and they've been denied funding by the state legislature, who approved funding and the governor vetoed in 2023 and 2024. Now, the county executive's best friend, Bob Brinkman, with Brinkman Construction, put together a not-for-profit organization, and they went to the state legislature and got approved without the governor rejecting or vetoing a $50 million, or I believe it was a $55 million appropriation to buy land and build a law enforcement center in the Chesterfield Valley, which the county executive, the county police chief, and other municipalities are in favor of. Now, we have politics playing here, and we're wasting taxpayer money all the way around, and we're also going to invest in our law enforcement center that's in Bush Wildlife off of Missouri Highway 94. We need to get together as a region and save taxpayer money and do the right thing on behalf of taxpayers. The family arena.
Are you gonna read the whole damn book and do all this?
I'm testifying about
No,
things
you're
that need
not.
to be
You
done.
see, you're being difficult.
Mr. Chairman,
I
it's
mean,
my
this is
time to
ridiculous.
testify.
Come on, Terry, this is ridiculous.
It is your time to testify. I would ask you to
Your state
try to
spec-
keep it on the actual strategic plan and capital, and, you know.
Right,
rather
and
than-
in the plan was law enforcement center expenses. So erosion control, we need to come up with a drainage plan, retention, detention of water, flooding mitigation, buy equipment, make sure that we're maintaining properly our drainage catch basins for proper cleaning, and to make sure that we invest so we don't have any additional flooding. We need to buy cameras, snakes, vacuum equipment to do that type of work. And by the way, at the last meeting, you approved some money for the county soil and water district. What are they doing for our county overall? Our parks department tax. We need to change our county charter. And I propose that we use 70% of the county use tax for online purchases for purposes, and 30% for water control projects and erosion control issues. Or in the alternative, I propose that we spend 75% of park use taxes that are online purchases made over $2,000, or 25% for water control projects. The longer that we keep pushing these issues down the road, we're going to keep having dilapidated homes that are falling into creeks and having erosion control issues. Our airport, and I'm almost done, Mr. Chairman, our airport runway, $3 million. That's a ridiculous expenditure of our federal, state, and county taxpayer money. I will be at the State Highway Commission opposing the use of this. That airport floods every 5 years, and all of our improvements go down the drain, regardless of how you look at it. What is the return on investment? We're actually funding that airport more than the revenue that's coming in. And what is it? All because we want power and status in our state? What about the costs and expenses of that airport? I ask that you sell it to a private investor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Dino. All right, are there any other?
There are no other
no one
speakers
else
on
to
that topic.
testify? Okay, all right, we move on to the second public hearing. This would be on traffic regulation recommendation, specifically a three-way stop sign installation at Ellerman Oaks Drive. Okay. Anyone to?
Arnie Dinoff.
Oh, good.
Mr. Dinoff, would you like to speak on this? I'd like to speak. Okay, we'll let you first, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Melvin Worley. I'm a past president of Ellerman Oaks subdivision. I've lived there for approximately 6.5 years. We've had a lot of problems with speeding, and we're trying to slow traffic down and control traffic. At that intersection, there's been a lot of near misses. We have had St. Charles County come out. They have utilized radar to clock people's speeds as they come to that intersection and make that turn. Sometimes I believe it could have been easily double the recommended speed. Recommended speed is at 25 miles an hour. People are coming around the corners at 40 and 45 miles an hour. And it's not much of a corner to come around. The biggest thing is safety here. That's our concern. And that's why I'm here tonight, to bring that point forward. This is a walking neighborhood. It's one of the older neighborhoods. Some of the houses there are 22 years old. People also bike. And so therefore, this is of truly a public safety issue, that the stop sign be issued at that corner. And that's basically my point, and thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Arnie Dinoff.
Thank Thank you very much, members of the council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff. And I believe that, we have a circulation of petitions in place. And I really believe in citizens who should come first.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Go ahead.
Are they done?
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe in the petition process, and as you can all see in your packet is 27 residents of Ellerman Oaks. And so I think what they're asking for is the safety and the welfare of their community. It's, as was described, a request for a stop sign at the intersection. It was accepted by our county highway department for maintenance in 2013. Instead of taking down and destroying the trees for wildlife and aesthetics, this is a counter alternative to the safety issue and to ensure that there's traffic safety. And even though there have been no crashes, there have been a lot of misses at this intersection. And I believe that this is the best way to approach this, to keep the wooded nature of the subdivision intact and to provide for additional stop sign at that intersection. And I would ask the council members to vote for this ordinance, either at this meeting, and I believe the second reading will be at the first meeting in the month of September. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on. The next thing on the agenda is public comments. Just a reminder that those are limited to 3 minutes. And first.
John Stanfield regarding communication with departments.
Good evening.
Evening.
Boy, I only get 3 minutes. Arnie gets an hour. Come on, guys.
It's the rules.
Oh, and by the way, the family arena, whatever you did there, if you adjusted the sound system, I went to the Grand Illusion concert, and that is phenomenal. The sound system is great. I hadn't been there in years, but it was really good. That's
There
just a
you go.
sidebar. No, I wanted to tell you guys about a situation I had. I have a routine every year. July 27th is when my daughter passed away. I go visit her grave. My neighbor who came with me, he was gracious enough to purchase one of the tribute trees or memorial trees that's placed in the parks. And it was put up at what used to be the Youth Activity Park. Now it's referred to as Kinetic Park up on Highway N. And I went up there to visit the tree and looked around, went in, talked to the staff, asked them if because there's so much remodeling going on up there, but the tree's gone. So I got a hold of the staff there on site. There were some young kids that gave me people's names, and I emailed them, and I screwed up on the email, which is a communication failure on my part, for sure. So I resubmitted an email to them, and they got back to me. And a gentleman named Chuck Collins got back with me. Great guy. He was familiar with the tree. That was probably that was in 2012 when my daughter passed, and that was the year that park actually opened. So it was probably one of the first trees to be planted in there. It was very mature. He said, yeah, I'm familiar with that tree. He said that tree was actually doing very well. I said, yeah, I've watched it for years, but it wasn't supposed to be removed. Somewhere the GC, which I'm familiar with construction, as some of you guys know, took the tree out. Now, how that could happen, I don't know. That was a big communication failure somewhere, because as you guys know, they're familiar with that program. There's a marker at the base of the tree with the individual's name on it. And in that situation, you'd have flagged off that area. But it still happened. He assured me there'd be a replanting. He even said, the way the soil's compacted and stuff, because I'm familiar with construction, he said we might move it to a different portion of the park. But that's my first communication snafu that I dealt with the county. Second one was around the election time, which I am not bashful about calling the election board if I have a question. 2020 I called about the absentee voting. Spent quite a bit of time, half hour on the phone with them at that time. about the process with absentee voting by mail. That was COVID time, remember? Reluctantly, it seemed like the individual on the phone at that time told me, oh yeah, they have to be notarized. You know how many people I've talked to that didn't realize that their vote had to be notarized by a notary public? And you still go on that site and look at it, it's ambiguous who determines whether we're going to count that vote. Somebody's making this decision whether you were capable of getting to the poll. I don't know who does that, and I remember an article that was in somewhere I read in 2020 about how St. Louis County addressed the absentee votes. They call up the individual and tell them, hey, you didn't get, you didn't do this right. Kurt Barr's response at that time was, we don't have that kind of time for that. Well, anyway, I'll tell you that I was up.
Your 3 minutes is up, and I certainly appreciate what you're saying. The issue that you're talking about is one that there's been questions about that from others also.
Well, somebody needs to check into that phone number that was on the sample ballot and see whose extension that goes to.
Okay.
It's a phone that rings for 3 minutes with no answer. And I bet you it's one of the county's numbers. It's almost like that was intentional. But their response to me was, the email that they responded to me gave me their number, and in the same context of the body of the email, they put it down as a fax number.
John, you can file or complain with the Secretary of State. Might want to do that.
All right, next.
Arnie Dienoff regarding the consent agenda.
Thank you very much, council members. Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, County Public Advocate. Under Chapter 610.021, 610.022, and 610.023 of the Missouri Revised State Statutes, I'm requesting the closed meeting minutes that you had of all the votes, decisions, and actions of your closed meeting held this date at 6:30 p.m. I have been calling for over 10 years the need of elected members for our County Charter Review Commission to go through our county charter, make recommendations to better our county charter, and update the charter for what is not working for our county's 433,000 county residents. This needs to be a huge priority of this council. The consent agenda, my question is, why is Bob Schnarr a consultant? What is his compensation package in addition to his county logger's pension? Why not approve and make Tracy Bain the permanent county finance director and not pay Bob Schnarr a consulting fee and expenses? County executives, stop thumbing your nose at our home rule county charter. Roy O'Sullivan, the county counselor, are you a United States citizen? Are you a registered voter? You are a confirmed resident of South St. Louis, but our charter says you have to be a resident of St. Charles County. Our public health director, Sarah Evers, is a confirmed resident of St. Louis County in the Creve Coeur, Maryland Heights area, is not a registered voter of St. Charles County, but however, is a registered voter in St. Louis County. I oppose the appointment of the municipal judge, Mike Faragris. He was forced into retirement by Supreme Court rules at the age of 70, and I believe he has lost his faculties and cannot appropriately serve in the position of county municipal judge. The generator maintenance and service agreement to a St. Louis firm, not a St. Charles County firm. Why aren't our employees of facilities management and emergency management doing this task? Motorola Solutions radio replacement program at the Department of Corrections, sole bidder, and that's a real problem that I have, that it's a sole bid with no competition. The remote radio sites building security upgrades, emergency communications, again, a sole bidder. Why aren't our employee technicians in the emergency communications division under Director Smith doing this task and this work? Or the 2 tower radio technicians that we pay over $80,000 salary a year per person. The professional services agreement for the St. Charles County runway, $295,000 to St. Louis engineering firm, wiring our own engineerings, and our airport director doing this.
Thank you, Mr.
And finally,
Dino.
the Economic
Mr.
Development
Dino,
Council,
thank you.
that fee is going up for the next 3 years,
Thank
and
you,
they
sir.
don't do anything. They're not transparent
Thank
or
you, sir.
accountable to the taxpayers.
It's the final speaker.
Okay, thank you. All right, that closes our public comments. Is there an oral report from the county executive?
I think not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, moving on, the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
I'd like to.
Mr. Baker?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the Ellerman, if we could, the stop sign. Just,
Point of order, that'd be at
Yeah.
the end.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, we have
It's
to.
at the end.
We would do that at the end, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, fine. Okay,
I'd like to remove parks on any camp playground replacement on the playground equipment.
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we've removed that item, which is the Indian Camp Creek Playground replacement.
If he would like to speak about the Ellerman Oaks, it is on the consent
Yeah.
agenda, so you might want to
Oh,
remove
it
it.
is?
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just
I didn't
here.
realize that, okay. All right, is there, you made a motion?
Yeah, I
Is there a
want to
second?
talk about it, so if we have to pull it off, that's
Okay,
fine.
sure. Is there a second?
Yeah,
Second.
second.
It was.
Okay,
and
all
there-
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have two items that have been removed.
Motion to approve is amended.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the remainder of the consent agenda has been approved, and we will open up with Mr.
Yeah,
Baker and the element.
thank you. No, John, I know we had talked about, there's a few areas in District 7 that have some speeding concerns, and we talked about those solar flashing speed limit signs. Has anything come with that? I know when you, me, and County Executive Elman's, we talked about possibly looking at those.
So the trailer mounted ones that PD has, as well as highway, those have been deployed at the locations that we've talked. And then you mentioned about potentially looking at some permanent installs
Yeah.
to see if they basically would change behavior. I believe, John, you included 3 in your capital request, which would be then, if the capital budget would be in next year's budget.
And how much are those? I'm just curious. I mean, I don't.
John, do you remember the cost? I know you had 3 in the capital plan.
Oh, there, okay. I'm not opposed to the stop sign. It's just that as a civil engineer working on traffic issues for the past 35 years, I know that those work. I think the people that are driving and it flashes their speed limit, it snaps them out of the subconscious and they look, oh, I'm going this fast. So I just would encourage. But along that line, when you did a study with the mounted flashing signal, was there a reduction in speed that was witnessed? Not long-term, no. What do you mean not long-term? I mean, short-term?
Can you jump to the mic so you can explain that?
So our trailer doesn't record data. It's just a speed limit. The PD's
Right.
records data. And so we asked them for what they had seen, and it was, the first few days, maybe a week, you would see some trending down, but then following, a week or so, you'd see speeding rates go back up. So essentially, they become accustomed to the sign, and
Okay,
they stop worrying about
that's
it.
fair to say. Okay, I was just curious to see how those work, because I know a lot of municipalities, I think O'Fallon does it, and I know St. Charles has a few of those, and I just.
And the stop signs at Ellerman Oaks, I know the gentleman that came up to speak, he was talking about speeding concerns, and I guess I don't know if that's what the subdivision prompted their request based off of, because the petition didn't quite get into that, but we opted to do the stop signs because we saw sight distance issues. So it
Okay.
wasn't really a speeding concern, it was a
Fair
sight
enough.
distance issue.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we will go ahead and I'll bring this back.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we move to the second item, which is Mr. Brazel and the playground equipment.
On the Parks and Rec piece, I did have another vendor call me and express some concerns, and I talked to John and I talked to Ryan about this. And I understand co-ops, I do them all the time. I do millions of dollars worth of co-op work a year. And this is Sourcewell, It's a fine co-op. But the problem I have with the way they're doing it is when there's a co-op, you can always get other, because there's multiple vendors that can bid the Sourcewell co-op. So it's not like you just have one. You could use 3 if that's a comfortable number, which usually is. And then you could have John's, and on the colors, Ryan, the powder coats are all the same as I checked into that. So the colors and the powder coats are pretty all the same because it's the same powder coating companies that do the colors and the painting of these rails and stuff like that. So if you want to say that you got a similar system in that park, they want to be consistent. Well, on the Sourcewell one, you get 3 bids, and you could use a base of design on the product that they like, and have them submit the spec as a base of design, and then you bid everything as an or equal or base of design of the manufacturer that they chose. And I just think it's the right thing to do to get 3 bids at least. And the co-op situation is fair, is fine, I get that, but you're not competing on the labor or the installation or any of that. It's a line item on equipment. And so I think it's only fair as stewards of the budgets that we suggested he gets 3 bids. And in this scenario, they could have these bids if they use a basis of design on what they've had drawn and what they already have on the table, then the other vendors could bid it in 2 or 3 weeks. They're going to have it by the next meeting. So I told them I want to support it because of this reason, and I appreciate everything Ryan does. They do a great job, but this is our job to control the budget and monitor the budget. So I'm not comfortable going with this almost $400,000 for playground equipment. It's the right thing to do is just get 3 numbers.
Okay, Ryan?
So, yeah, talked to Joe today. He expressed his concerns with this. So we went through the government purchasing contract, obviously with Sourcewell. It's already been bid as part of the program with the government purchasing contracts. So in 2001, 2022, we went out and solicited proposals for a new playground at shelter, the signature shelter at Indian Camp Creek. Out of those, we selected Cunningham, the same company that we are using here for this, to put in the new playground there at Shelter 2. To bid it off Sourcewell, got it through council. Basically, the paperwork that was provided at that point is identical to the paperwork that we provided today. I just changed the date and the dollar number. So we went through, and the reason why we wanted to do that and select the company that we used before is because we wanted to maintain a aesthetic appeal throughout the park. We already have a playground just down the road in the park, so we wanted to maintain the same color scheme, the same play components, the same roof structures, all those sorts of things. Obviously, with all these playground companies, there's many different companies, and each one has a different interpretation of a slide. Each one has a different interpretation of cargo net, swings, all those sorts of things. So when it comes to Indian Camp Creek, we wanted to simplify it and go through one manufacturer for those. It helps with us in terms of manufactured parts and all those sorts of things that go through one manufacturer as opposed to trying to track down multiple ones. So that is the reason why we went ahead and selected them all Sourcewell. We went through finance, followed county purchasing policy, and got it up here to you all for your all's consideration. So just, again, in your packet, it is to replace a playground that is aged out. It's a wood cedar structure that has some wood rot issues, so we're not adding a new playground or anything like that. It's a safety concern. We're removing the old damaged one and putting in a new one. So that is our proposal here. So any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Okay. Someone?
Oh, I thought the county executive had a question.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a question for Ryan.
Ryan?
Yes, sir.
I thought there was additional cost to actually bid it in terms of preparing documents with the various
There would be. Right now, the playground that we're purchasing is sort of like buying it off of a Walmart shelf. It's a pre-manufactured design. If we wanted to go out to bid, we would have to get an engineer, designer, come through, put together the construction documents, take that out to bid. So each one of these manufacturers are bidding on the same type of playground. And we've done that before. Out of Veterans Tribute Park, we have a signature playground out there that was significantly more, about $1.2 million was the playground there. Kinetic Park's playground playground was designed and built as part of a larger construction package that was engineered and designed. But when it comes to these playgrounds that we've been putting out at like Bromelsek, Indian Camp Creek, Oglesby, and now this replacement here, we've gone through the Sourcewell purchasing contracts and working with the companies there, so.
Terry?
Yes.
And as you know, even at the price we're proposed to pay now, I get sticker shock every time I see these playgrounds. I don't know how all the younger generations survived without $1 million playgrounds.
Well, with
Somehow you can't just build your own slide anymore.
When you fell off the merry-go-round, you landed in gravel. If you remember. Blanchette Park.
We had asphalt.
Just for the point, the Sourcewell is a co-op contract. They bid to a line item contract, so there wouldn't be any additional cost. That's not true, because they got to bid off the same line item. So every manufacturer that's doing Sourcewell in a co-op provides the same, they're going to offer the same services with a package of design engineering drawings with each package that they buy, with each park that they buy. And I'm just telling you that it's our responsibility to get multiple bids, and the co-op plan does work. We do it all the time. And when we do that, as a manufacturer's rep, that's what I do for a living. We write the specs, we do the design, we do the drawing, and if other people are going to bid, it's a basis of design, and other people bid it. And that's the facts. And so if it's a co-op, it's a line item contract, they can't just throw another cost in there because it's a line item contract bid to the Sourcewell co-op. So if they could just arbitrarily start charging for other stuff, then I don't know why you're using this co-op, because everything's put on the same line item.
I will add, it is a local company out of
he
like
said
St.
there'll be
Louis.
more cost in
So,
involved.
St. Charles.
It is a local company.
But whatever, you guys do what you want.
Motion to approve.
Of course.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
No.
We have two opposed. Okay. All right. We now move on to the resolution number 2406, which is adopting the capital program and strategic plan, which was discussed earlier. Okay. Any questions or comments on this particular resolution? I guess we need to read it first.
read it.
I'm sorry.
Resolution number 24-06, sponsored by council as a whole. A resolution adopting the 2025 through 2029 capital program and strategic plan.
Now, questions or comments on the resolution? Okay. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Resolution number 24-06, a resolution adopting the 2025 through 2029 capital program and strategic plan. Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 24-06 has passed. We move on to bills for final passage, starting with bill number 5318.
Bill number 5318, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement between Iowa State University of Science and Technology and St. Charles County Department of Public Health regarding a public health internship.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5318, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement between Iowa State University of Science and Technology and St. Charles County Department of Public Health regarding a public health internship. Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, bill 5318 passes. Next up for final passage, bill 5319.
Bill number 5319, an ordinance authorizing execution of the common agreement between St. Charles County and the St. Charles County Economic Development Council.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5319, an ordinance authorizing execution of the common agreement between St. Charles County and the St. Charles County Economic Development Council. Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Okay, bill number 5319 passes. Next up is bill number 5320.
Bill number 5320, an ordinance providing for amendment of ordinance 23-104 for supplemental appropriation relating to expenditure of the state and local cybersecurity grant program funds and operation of the intergovernmental agreement between St. Charles County and the Missouri Department of Public Safety, Safety Office of Homeland Security.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5320, an ordinance providing for amendment of ordinance 23-104 for a supplemental appropriation relating to expenditure of the state and local cybersecurity grant program funds and operation of the intergovernmental agreement between St. Charles County and the Missouri Department of Public Safety, Office of Homeland Security. Councilman Hollander.
Yes.
Councilman Hammond.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Swanson.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel.
Yes.
Councilman Elam.
Yes.
Okay, bill number 5320 is passed. The last bill for final passage is bill 5321.
Bill number 5321, an ordinance amending the 2024 budget adopted in ordinance 23-104 by transferring excess funds from the St. Charles County Corrections Department personnel costs line item to the department's medical services line item.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5321, an ordinance amending the 2024 budget adopted in ordinance 23-104 by transferring excess funds from the St. Charles County Corrections Department personnel cost line item to the department's medical services line item. Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes. Bill 5321 is passed. Now we move on to bills for introduction, starting with bill number 5322.
Bill number 5322, requested by Mike Hurlbert, sponsored by Joe Brazel. An ordinance approving the installation of 2 dams across 2 natural water courses within a 184.59 acre tract adjoining Centennial Farms Drive and near the city of New Melle.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, we move on to bill number 5323.
Bill number 5323, requested by John Lyons, sponsored by Joe Brazel. An ordinance authorizing the county executive to enter into an intergovernmental agreement and to execute a quitclaim deed to convey to the city of Lake St. Louis a portion Duello Road that was relocated within the municipal boundaries of the city.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, we move on to bill 5324.
Bill number 5324, requested by Amanda Brower, sponsored by Terry Hollander. An ordinance approving a First Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with the City of St. Peters for road improvements needed to support the economic development Lakeside 370 North Point Development Project.
Questions or comments on 5324? Seeing none, we move on to bill number 5325.
Bill number 5325, requested by Ryan Graham, sponsored by Nancy Schneider. An ordinance authorizing execution of Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission's State Block Grant Agreement, Airport Improvement Program Grant, Project 24-111A-1, CFDA 20.106, for the design and engineering only of a runway pavement mill and overlay project at St. Charles County Regional Airport, Smart Field.
Questions or comments on 5325? Seeing none, final bill for introduction, bill 5326.
Bill 5326, requested by Kurt Frizz, sponsored by council as a whole. An ordinance authorizing the county executive and chief of police to execute a memorandum of understanding to participate in the St. Louis Gateway Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, co-located strike force initiative to combat organized crime and drug trafficking activities.
Questions or comments, 5326? Okay, seeing none, are there any tabled bills to be removed from the table? Seeing none, how about announcements and miscellaneous? Mr. Swanson.
If I may, today's kind of an important day, especially for St. Charles County. Lance Corporal Jared Schmidt, this is 3 years since Abbygate had happened. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson will be awarding all of those 13 families with the Congressional Gold Medal, which is very rare. It will end up in the Smithsonian after all. Mark Schmidt and his wife are currently in Washington DC, and it just takes, reflect on what happened 3 years ago because we lost one of our own.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Baker?
Yeah, before our next meeting, I think we're having a work session.
We are.
Okay, so, one of the things that I think Joe brought this to my attention is the serious understaffing that the county has. That's one of the issues we want to talk about. And I think we were talking about some of the starting pay for some of the highway workers, and I was kind of appalled and embarrassed. And I know County Executive Elman, before I became a council member, just told me he made it a priority. But I think we need to look at it as a group, just what we can do. I know money's, it's not easy to just move money around, but we have all these positions that are unfunded. So what happens to that funding at the end of the year? I mean, we've got.
I mean, unfunded or
They're funded.
unfilled?
They're funded, but they're not,
Unfilled.
I mean, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
unfunded was the wrong term.
carries over to the next year. And they're working on the budget now, and people are making requests, and in a couple months, we'll be presenting that budget first week in November.
Yes, but some of these positions, not all of them, are things that we've already been studying because of the inability to recruit.
So if you want to talk to us before we come out with it, that's fine. Even after we come out with it, if you want to offer amendments, you'll have that opportunity.
We can do that. I just want to give the department heads enough time to present us with the amount of employees that they're short and what they feel we need to do to bring those up to
I think we have a
fillings.
lot of departments that are still short.
Oh, yeah.
Because if we're, for example, if we don't have people in the highway department, we're going to start hiring outside firms to do it, which is going to cost more, and we certainly don't want to do it. And hearing some of these starting salaries for some of these people that are driving trucks and have CDLs, they can work at Kentucky Fried Chicken and make the same amount of money. But that's one of the.
Some of those that were in the email, those are not the correct salaries. So they're not that far off. They're a few dollars difference, though. And so we'll have that for you if that's what you
And we'll
want.
also look at what other people are paying.
Right.
And we've done
For the same position, and if we're not competitive, then we need to do something about it.
Okay, and I just, as a body as a whole, it'd be great for us to talk about and for me to really to understand. And also, I know I think we're going to be talking about the Prop P, is it, the tax, and how that's.
Two things, and and I have to finalize this with a number of people, but, one of the things we do want to talk about is the highway department and the stormwater control. That was your main thing.
Right.
That we'll be discussing, and then we'll also add in possible ways to fund that
Okay.
possibility.
Perfect. Thank
So
you.
that's the two things that we're looking at. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you for approving Judge Fagris. He'll start on September the 1st. I want to take this opportunity to thank Joel Brett, who's had that job for, at least 6 years, probably?
Oh, no, a lot longer than that.
Longer than that,
Ken.
6, 8 years. Anyway, I've never heard any complaints. I don't know if you all have. I've never heard a complaint about Joel, and I knew he was a great guy and a great lawyer, and it turned out to be a great judge for us, too. And I just want to thank him for his service.
Appreciate it.
Terry, on the work session, what Tim and I was asking, we don't want to just focus on the highway department. We want to see what all the departments, if in fact they're understaffed, just so we can have a broad conversation.
The highway was specifically for the.
Right.
Yeah, we have a
stormwater control.
shortage of engineers that we need to.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, folks.